Yeah, you know what Trump did, in my view, is that he took these people down from Mount Olympus, and he also showed them that these people can be beat and that they're not all powerful. And if you just stand up to these people, they'll fold.
Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a returning guest, Bob Kudla. Bob is the creator and owner of TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and I am very happy to have him back on the X22 Report Spotlight. Bob, welcome back to the Spotlight.
Hey, Dave, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. And I wanted to start off in France. I mean, right now, France is a complete and utter disaster. We have the yellow vests out there. They're protesting. And it started out with this climate change tax. And now it kind of morphed into something completely different. And Macron is trying to make concessions, but it doesn't seem like it's working. What is your take on what is happening out in France with Macron and the yellow vests?
Yeah, France is not much different than the United States. It's the elites versus the regular people. And they just push the people just too far, too fast. And this is very organic what happened with the yellow vests. These people came in from the rural areas and just occupied Paris. And I think once it went, and I think it's really stung the elites, I think then they said, you know what? We have a lot of other grievances too. We're just not going to take it anymore. It's almost like La Miserable 2.0. The French took it to the wall and the people are pushing back. And I think it's just a global thing, Dave. It's not just France. The Italians have had enough. And, Eastern Europe from Poland all the way down to the Serb-Hungary area is that, look, we don't want the migration. We don't want the climate change. We don't want the taxes. We don't want an unelected bureaucracy telling us what to do. And, in the United States, we're very fortunate to get Trump because he kind of put the kibosh on that in 2016, or I think we'd be having the same kind of issues here in the United States. But I think the politicians are really running scared.
Do you think Trump started all this? Do you think it's since he came into office? I mean, he did make fun of Macron, and, he wasn't really polite to Merkel and May in the UK. Do you think this kind of kicked it all off?
Yeah, what Trump did, in my view, is that he took these people down from Mount Olympus, and he also showed them that these people can be beat and that they're not all powerful. And if you just stand up to these people, they'll fold. And you saw it in the U.S., and now you saw with France. I mean, look, those people pushed for 3 or 4 days. I had people that were in Paris at the time. They said, look, the whole city wasn't burning. It was just one part of France. I mean, Paris. And these people, they just freaked out. And I think they realize the power they have is very tenuous. And so, I think Trump gave voice to it all. I mean, in England, they're saying we want Trump. I think people are looking for somebody that is looking out for their national interests and not being denigrated for having a view of, hey, my personal culture matters. It's not bad. It's not racist. It's, French want to be French. Italians want to be Italians. Americans want to be Americans. And so I think, this thing, we're going to be all like one homogenized pie and people can come and go as they please is a silly notion. And I think it scared a lot of people. And Trump just gave them the opportunity to push back.
Do you think, you mentioned the UK, do you think the Brexit in the UK with May, I mean, already May said she's not going to be running again. Do you think this Brexit was more weighted towards the EU or for what the people actually wanted?
Oh, well, the elites want that connection with the EU. And so she survived her no confidence vote, by the way, just came in the last couple of minutes before our broadcast. But no, the elites don't want that. They want to have that migration, and the people don't want that. At once they, look, the EU is going to fold in the next couple of years, and I think the people of Britain would be foolish to try to stay connected to a sinking ship.
Do you think the globalist world order, you think that's all coming to an end right now?
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but to me, the globalist world order is the European, colonial power base that they wanted to continue, in a new way, shape, or form. The Russians aren't globalists. The Chinese aren't globalists. The Muslim world is not globalist. It's just that you got this European, Brussels, French, German kind of cabal that wanted to recreate something that was going to be run out of Brussels. And the U.S. pushed back on it, and everybody else will as well. Eastern Europe's not for this globalist agenda. And I think it was something that the progressives that are European elites try to put together. And I think that experiment is ending too. Look, climate change is dead. That was the religion they were using to promote the globalist agenda. Macron, it died with the yellow vests, and it's not going anywhere. And so they're going to have to figure a new way out. But that method of trying to tie everybody's hands and tax everybody for the world's benefit is over.
You mentioned globalism, and Trump was out there and he was talking about globalism, saying, he's not for globalism. You can see he got rid of a lot of the trade deals like TPP and things like that, renegotiated NAFTA. He's also contradicting the Fed. And we talked about this last time, how he was going after the Fed. Since last time we spoke, do you think Trump actually has control over the Fed right now?
Yeah. I mean, look, these guys do not want to. These politicians and these bureaucrats do not want to be out in the limelight, and Trump just drags them right out there and saying, here, this is the person. He's personalizing. This is the person that you can put your finger on when the economic recession happens, because he is the one that is raising the rates. I'm not raising rates. I can't control that. And they don't want that. They want to sit in the background and be able to blame, superfluous things or the politicians. And so Trump has them in a corner now. And so he's tails, he wins, heads, he wins, tails, they lose, because if he gets his way, interest rates are going to fall. And if he doesn't get his way and we go into recession, he said, look, I told these guys not to do it. And then he could fight it legislatively with people. But yeah, I think they fold it, and I think they're rolling over. And if we get an increase in December, I think that's it, Dave. I think it's it for this economic cycle, because you just see from the companies, 15% of the companies in the S&P, Dave, cannot pay the interest charge on the cash flow. They have to keep borrowing to pay the debt they have as a business. Can you imagine 15% of the S&P going bankrupt, what that would do to our economy? And the Fed caused it by keeping interest rates too low, too long, and enforcing these companies. If you want to keep your job, you got to keep doing this, and then just jamming rates up eight times in 2 years, and it made it unaffordable for them to pay the bills. So, yeah, something's got to give, or they're going to cause a massive economic dislocation.
Now, you said something very interesting, which all of a sudden I was thinking about it when you were talking about if Trump is contradicting the Fed, saying, oh, look at the Fed, they're raising the rates. And you said, well, he wins in both ways. If the economy comes down and we go into a recession, because right now, if you look at the mainstream media, you can see that they're pushing, recession in 2020, housing crisis, recession. He wins in both instances. Is this what you're saying? Like, no matter what they try to do, he's going to come out as the winner.
Yeah, because look, they're opposing the two things that he says will bring jobs to Americans and make life affordable for Americans. And that is, we got to get China under control and globalism, and we got to have interest rates at a normal rate. And the people that are fighting them are the New York and the Washington establishment. And he's called them both out on it. And so then he could just constantly point to these people and say, look, here it is. Because look, the plan I put in place for 2 years has been working. Now all of a sudden you keep raising interest rates. You want to get in the middle of my NAFTA deal. You want to get in the middle of my China trade deal, and now you're going to try to screw things up. And I mean, Trump said it just yesterday when he had the meeting with Pelosi and Schumer, when he just said this election had consequences. He goes, yeah, darn right, and look how well we're doing, and basically saying now you're coming in. If it screws up, the only change was you guys coming into power. And so he's a really smart guy, and what he does is he sets the table, and these people walk into these traps. And look, I agree with what he's doing. What people don't realize, Dave, is what he's doing is the only thing we can do as an economy to be able to fight through the debt that's being created. We have to collapse the trade deficit. We got to create more inflation in this country and what's called velocity, which means money's turning around faster and faster, but staying in the country, which creates more tax revenue, and it creates what's called supply chains. If you and I owned a steel mill and we moved it from China back to the U.S., well, it's not just the steel mill that's going to employ people. It's everything that supplies the steel mill to keep it in power and keep it delivering goods. And that creates a supply chain. And at the same time, then you have to have people that are educated into doing these things. So it's a virtuous cycle. And by pushing all this stuff out to other countries, we basically killed primary industries in this country, and he's bringing it back. And why that's important is that if our currency ever did take a dive and we couldn't import, well, if we didn't have the ability to produce steel and iron ore or defense equipment or chips for circuits, we'd be at the mercy of a country like China. And he's like, just no way. And our left-leaning politicians gave this all away. And corporate America gave it all away for cheap profits to basically enrich themselves. And Trump's been consistent on this since 1980. He's always said we got to bring these things back into the U.S. These are cheap deals. We wouldn't have to borrow as much money as a nation if we had the businesses here in the first place. So he's doing all the right things strategically. You just have to fight through the noise of the people that are trying to clutter his message.
And lately we've been seeing the stock market where, it's been bouncing all over the place. One day you wake up, it's down 700 points, goes down 600, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes all the way back up. And this is just a crazy, crazy time. It feels like we're in some type of transition right now. How do you get through this when you see the market come down 700, then come down 600, go back up 800? I know you have, many incredible trades that you're doing, and you've been putting puts on certain things. How do you get through this?
Well, first of all, you got to know the macro picture. So you want to be in things that you know are going to go higher, Dave. And the number one thing is you hit the nail on the head. We are transitioning. People think we're going to go into a Great Depression. I call it the Great Reset. We're actually moving from fake to real and from financial assets to hard assets again. And so you start looking for opportunities to buy things that have been beat up, which we have been. And then you look for opportunities to short things that have been flying high. So you said it exactly right. So when we have a couple days that are up $600, $700, $800, on one of the indexes, we look for our algorithm to tell us to sell it. And then to go ahead, so last week we sold the market short. Very simple for people to do. It's an index that you can just buy. And we made 5% on it. At the same time, we noticed gold and silver miners and gold and silver were not going down with this move, which informs us that that's where the money is being moved to. And so we started buying gold and silver. And I sent you a chart on one of them. We had 2 trades in the last 2 weeks, 13%. And we just took advantage of those, what you call those up and downs. It flew up, you take profit, you let it come back. It flew up again, you take profit. And on it goes. So once it works through this consolidation, Dave, you're going to see gold and silver miners breaking out, and you'll see the stock market either stay in this range or drift down. The market is, as it stands right now, 30% overvalued, and there's 2 ways it could fix itself. It could stay here for the next couple years until profits catch up to its value, which has been kind of artificial for 2 years. Or it can come down very hard and meet that price range, which is around 180 on SPY, and then it'll start coming back up again. So those are the 2 schools of thought. But make no mistake, the politicians are so scared right now, Dave, that they do not want to have a Great Depression on their hands. And look at Macron. What's the first thing he did? He raised minimum wage. He lowered taxes. He threw money at people. Look what Trump did, right? He lowered taxes, closed off trade, and threw money at people. And it's going to go. You're going to see every country do. China has been doing it left and right for years, but you just don't see it because they're in their own pressure cooker. So there's going to be a lot of what they call hot money flowing around out there. And what it's going to do is it's going to need to find a home, and it's going to find a home in commodities. And that's where we're going to be with it. And we see it happening. and we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I want to get into cryptos and precious metals in a minute. But before we started the recording, we were talking about your business and different holiday specials, and you wanted to offer something special to everyone, something like 50 or 75% off of your trading system. Can you just explain what you want to give to everyone?
Yeah, so till the 15th of this month, Dave, we have bundles that we put together, tradelikeagenius.com, or you can go to tradegeniusacademy.com. It all goes to the same place. And then we have bundles that you can get our signals that we text out to people. But in addition, for your subscribers to the 15th only, is that we'll give you access to the software signals that you can actually see displayed on the computer if you have TradingView, which is a free software that's out there on the internet. And then also you can get access to the email notifications as well. And so we've never bundled that way before. And that is like $350 that we're charging for that, which if we sold it as we normally do, would be over $1,200. And just in the last 2 days, the trades we just pushed out, we made people more than that. And 2 simple trades, if you had a small account, you would have made that back in a couple of days. So that's what we're doing for people. And we try to help people make money nearly every day in the market. We have additional bundles if they want to be coached or get consulting or get our whole training package. So you learn to trade like we learn to trade, and we put that all out in training for people as well. But you have a couple days to react to that, and we thought we'd put together a really nice deal for your subscribers.
Great. And let's get back to the precious metals right now and cryptos. I mean, right now, precious metals are, pretty steady. Cryptos have been taking a beating. I mean, a lot of people are looking at this saying, oh, is this the crypto market over? What's going on? And you've been saying that you're kind of bullish on cryptos. Where do you see the crypto market going? Do you see great things coming in the future?
Yeah, because look, Bitcoin is, and I'll use Bitcoin because that's what I personally follow the most, and the altcoins kind of go with it, is that it's the same with gold and silver. It's been suppressed because it's an alternative to the fiat currencies out there. And so it's been being pushed down. But, the way we trade, Dave, is that, we're also micro and macro. So it's down 10% since the beginning of December, but with the 3 trades we had put on, we're up 25% trading Bitcoin. So it's really, you were just waiting for it coming back into what's called the buying pool, which is around 2,500 to 2,900. It may not even get there. Every time it's gotten down to 3,000 now, it's being pushed up. And you got the institutional, buyers out there now starting to take positions. And the other thing that people didn't realize either is that the miners themselves, what I call the crypto miners, they've been shorting in the futures market as well to protect their business. And that's not unusual. Like in the oil market, you see how oil's been going down? Well, the oil producers are shorting the market as it's going down because they're trying to protect their profits. And it's the same thing that's happening in the Bitcoin market. So once this thing all washes through, we're likely to see in the next 3 to 4 months a double in Bitcoin. And then we'll just have to wait and see what it does from there. But people have to put it in perspective. It's like, how much money do you want to make in a given year? If we could show you that you can make 25 to 100 to 200% trading cryptocurrencies in 2019, does it really matter to you if it didn't really move in the next year, but it just kind of went up and down? But as an asset class, as these countries and these politicians just start throwing money at the problem, people are going to bail out just like they did in Venezuela and Turkey and India, and they start adopting these crypto coins to get their money out of the country. And that's what we're playing for. Cryptos is a long play for us. Gold, silver, cryptos are all going to move together in the near future, and they're all going to break out of these ranges. So we're bullish on all 3.
Why do you think that gold and cryptos are going to break out? I mean, gold has been where it's been. It bounces up and down, but it hasn't really moved. Why do you think all of a sudden it's going to break out?
It's really all about the dollar, and it's all about how much debt is out there. And so what's been suppressing it over the last 2 years, in 2016, actually the gold bull market had started. And so then they started raising the interest rates. And so once our Fed stops raising interest rates, then you have a real rate issue. And then people will start gravitating towards gold and silver as an alternative to fiat. And we've seen these things before. It happened from 2009 to 2011. It happened from 2002 to 2005. And it's going to happen again here in 2018, 2019. And when debt is exceeding the basically the amount of currency being created exceeds GDP, at some point it leaks into the gold and silver markets. And then the gold and silver miners are leveraged to gold and silver, and they're going to explode. And at some point, they're going to have to tie themselves back to some sort of commodity-based currencies. And, you're going to see gold and silver. Well, gold doubled for sure. Silver will probably go up 4 to 5 times in this time period. And if they ever align gold and silver back to currency again, then you can see some pretty outrageous prices in gold and silver, although I'm not expecting that.
Are you expecting the Fed to raise rates? Right now they have a very high percentage for this December. Do you think they'll be raising it in 2019 quite a bit?
No, I think they're done.
You think they're done in December?
Yeah, they're done. They're going to have to do it just because they put themselves out there, but there's simply no way. If they keep raising rates, they'll throw the country into a recession, if not a depression. They'll have S&P 500 companies going bankrupt, and it'll be all on them. I doubt they're going to do that. They're already scared. They're already out there last week talking about, hey, maybe we got it balanced now, and that's basically their way of saying, hey, no mas, we're done.
So if they don't raise the rates and we're in this position, where does the economy go? Like, what are we just stagnant right now?
Yeah, we'll probably muddle through. If they keep spending the way they are, we'll maintain a positive GDP. If we collapse the trade deficit, we'll have a more positive GDP. And we're going to shift from Wall Street making money to Main Street making money. So I don't foresee a recession in 2019. I don't see one in 2020, but it doesn't mean we're going to really grow. I think we're just going to muddle through over the next couple years. Absolutely.
Do you think there's going to be any type of structure change, maybe in the Fed or in other places? Do you think that there's changes coming? He's changed a lot. Do you think more changes are coming?
Well, if this guy's shown us anything, he's trying to blow up the old order. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more things. I think anytime these politicians or these bureaucrats make a mistake, I think he's going to try to go for a change in the way we do things. So, yeah, and the next big thing on the horizon is, depending on how hard the House Democrats want to push on his political future, then he may just throw some bombs out there. And that's the unknown. We don't know how that'll all unravel. If you think about it, they want to impeach him for hush money now. Russia's off the table. That's gone. He's like, okay, you want to impeach me for hush money? How many House Democrats have done hush money that the government paid for? Why don't we throw them all out into view? So I think, we have to wait and see how that all plays out, if it's bluffing or people are going to try to go for it. And, to the extent that that's a nothing burger, then I think we just keep muddling through and let Trump keep working the Chinese, and a lot of people are thinking that Trump has pushed the Chinese into what's called a death rattle. He's just throwing them off base, and trade's the only thing they have. And if they get this thing wrong with us, then they could be in big trouble internally. So there's something going on geopolitically there with China. And that's probably the only other thing out there that could probably, blow up the plans we have for the next couple of years. We don't know it's very opaque over there. So you just don't know what'll happen if something went wrong over in China.
Bob, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people get to your website?
Yeah, you can go to tradelikeagenius.com and just sign up on one of our bundles. You can chat, you can call us, you can email us. And, look, we help people make money nearly every day in the market. I sent over some proof statements to you, Dave, if you could share those with your folks, and just to show you that we do what we say. And I think you'll like trading with us. We're good people, and we'll just kind of help people navigate through what's going on here in this world today. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time out. Bob, once again, thank you very much for being on the Spotlight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.